people like Willie Nelson that made me hopeful for us all, through his words and through his music and through the example he sets.
You could never imagine a life so turbulent until you learn about this artist. He once lost his son in the tragedy of a hanging, had nearly all of his assets seized by the IRS over a $16.7 million debt, and even smoked marijuana on the roof of the White House with the son of the U.S. president. This is Willie Nelson, the country music legend, the most enduring rebel of the American stage.
Whiskey River, take my mind. Don't let a memory go.
If anyone don't like it, just look around now. I didn't come here at night.
The man who turned chaos into legacy. At 91, Willie still performs, but the public is even more curious about where he lives today. Not a lavish mansion, but a peculiar western town he built himself in Texas. A home that is both wild and haunting, where every wall bears the marks of his deepest highs and lows. A living legacy that the public cannot stop wondering about. Luck Ranch is located in Spicewood, Texas, about 30 miles from downtown Austin. The ranch covers roughly 500 acres, more than 200 hectares, and stands out for its scenery, reminiscent of the American West of the past century. Wooden houses a small saloon, an Opry-style theater, and a chapel line up like a frontier street. The entire complex was originally built in 1986 as a set for the film Red-Headed Stranger, a movie based on the famous album Willie Nelson had released in 1975. When filming ended, he decided to keep it all, turning the set into part of his personal life. And over time, it became a miniature Old West town called Luck. For many years, Luck Ranch retained the spirit of a temporary town. Recently, the architectural firm Cushing Terrell carried out some restorations, but the original layout and main materials were preserved. The setting feels like stepping out of a Western history book, but it carries its own distinct symbolism. Willie Nelson often uses wordplay when talking about this place. When you don't find luck anywhere else, you'll find it here. The saying is both humorous and true to his character, while he confirmed to Texas Monthly that Luck Ranch is his real home, not just a temporary stop. Everyday life at Luck Ranch is very different from what one might imagine of a longtime music star. When not on tour, Willie Nelson spends his time growing organic vegetables and tending to medical cannabis, a product tied to his brand, Willie's Reserve. He is also known for keeping more than 70 horses rescued from slaughterhouses. In one conversation, he once said, "My horses are probably the luckiest horses in the world." In addition, he maintains the habit of meditation, physical training, playing music with family members, and running his tour bus on biodiesel made from vegetable oil, part of his clean energy brand, Bio Willie. These routines reflect a sustainable lifestyle, both simple and aligned with the philosophy of freedom he pursues. Luck Ranch is more than a residence. It is also the site of the annual music festival Luck Reunion, launched in 2012. The event takes place in March, coinciding with SXSW in Austin. Each year, only about 3,500 attendees are present, but the lineup is very diverse, from Margot Price, Nathaniel Rateliff, Lucinda Williams, to surprising names like Arcade Fire. Rolling Stone once described it as an anti-festival completely different from the crowded ones. No loud advertising, no commercial spectacle. Luck Reunion is built as a gathering for those who truly love Americana music. The atmosphere is intimate and small-scale, creating the feeling that audience and artists share a private space together. For Willie Nelson, Luck Ranch carries a meaning far deeper than a film set or a performance venue. Many newspapers have called it a spiritual refuge. Within the small chapel, he still holds gospel singing sessions as a way of reconnecting with his childhood memories in Abbott, Texas. The western scenery and the slow rhythm of life at Luck Ranch help him regain balance after turbulent periods of financial health and personal struggles. From a peaceful ranch shaped like a western town, the next story will take the audience back to the most intense period in Willie Nelson's life, when an unexpected family tragedy forever tied him to the nickname Shotgun Willie. The story behind Shotgun Willie. The nickname Shotgun Willie is tied to a tense family incident in 1971. At the time, his daughter Lana was being abused by her husband. Willie Nelson drove to her house carrying a shotgun and shot out the man's tires to stop him. The press called it the Great Ridgetop Shootout, but fortunately, no one was injured. From that turning point, Willie wrote the song Shotgun Willie and released an album of the same name in 1973. It marked the birth of the outlaw country image, a rebellious spirit willing to stand against the Nashville norms of that era. Alongside the story of the shotgun, another companion inseparable from Willie's career is his guitar trigger. In 1969, after his old guitar broke, he bought a Martin N20 nylon string acoustic from Shot Jackson's shop. Willie named it Trigger, after Roy Rogers' famous horse, for a simple reason: "This is my horse." From that moment, Trigger has never left his side for a single day. The story of Trigger is bound with many unusual events. In 1969, when Willie's house caught fire, he ran into the flames to save the guitar. He had a bag of marijuana in his hand, but clearly the most important thing was the instrument that had become the soul of his career. In 1990, when he faced a massive tax debt and all his assets were at risk of being seized, he sent Trigger to his sister Bobby's house to hide it. That decision saved the guitar through a dark time when much of his property had to be sold. Over the years, more than 100 artists have left their signatures on Trigger's body. The first was Leon Russell, followed by Johnny Cash, Chris Christopherson, Waylon Jennings, Gene Autry, and many others. Each signature stands as proof of friendships, long-standing collaborations, and the respect fellow musicians held for Willie. Trigger is not just a keepsake. It is the distinctive sound that helped shape Willie Nelson's style. Its nylon strings produce a softer tone, different from the steel string guitars common in country. This guitar has been present in nearly all of his hits. On the Road Again, released in 1980, and Always on My Mind in 1982, were both recorded with Trigger, delivering the signature jazz-country blend that became unmistakable. In an interview, Willie once described, "Trigger is like me, old and full of scars, but as long as I have this guitar, I'm all right." That statement captures the near-blood bond between him and the instrument. For him, Trigger is not just a tool of performance, but a part of his body, a living memory of his entire journey in music. The story of Shotgun Willie and the guitar Trigger together created the image of an artist both rebellious and steadfast in his music. A shotgun to protect his family, a guitar to preserve his career. Both became symbols of Willie Nelson himself. But Willie is not only known for his gun and his guitar. Behind the stage, his private life holds stories even more extraordinary. Strange anecdotes. In 1990, Willie Nelson faced one of the greatest crises of his career. The Internal Revenue Service (IRS) seized nearly all of his assets, over a debt of $16.7 million, the result of poor financial management and misguided investments. Almost everything was confiscated, from houses and land to musical instruments, except for Trigger the guitar, hidden safely away. To find a way through, in 1991, Willie released the album The IRS Tapes Who'll Buy My Memories. The record brought in about $3.6 million, and together with years of relentless touring, he gradually paid off the massive debt. His perseverance earned the admiration of the public and reinforced his image as an artist who would never bow down. Willie Nelson's love life was as turbulent as his career. He first married Martha Matthews in 1952, and they had 3 children, Lana, Susie, and Billy. The marriage lasted a decade and ended in 1962. Tragedy struck years later when Billy, the youngest son from that marriage, took his own life in 1991, just as Willie was mired in financial crisis, leaving an irreplaceable void. His second wife, Shirley Colley, married him in 1963, but they had no children together, and the couple separated in 1971. Soon after, Willie married Connie Kopke. Their third marriage lasted until 1988 and gave him two daughters, Paula and Amy. His current wife, Annie D'Angelo, has been his steady anchor since 1991. With Annie, he has two sons, Lucas and Micah, both of whom pursue music and often perform alongside their father. But Willie's family life was not without surprises. In 2012, he discovered he had another daughter, Renee, the result of a past relationship. The truth was only confirmed through a DNA test, revealing a little-known chapter of his life. Beyond debts and relationships, Willie Nelson is remembered for extraordinary anecdotes few other artists could match. In 1978, during a stay at the White House under President Jimmy Carter, Willie smoked marijuana on the roof of the residence with the president's son, Chip Carter. In his memoir, he admitted candidly, "We smoked a big Austin torpedo." The story was retold many times, becoming part of his rebellious image. Not only at the White House, Willie's lifestyle tied to marijuana was present on every tour. His bus became famous for its overpowering smell, so strong that guests stepping aboard could feel its effects. Singer Cher once shared that she felt high by secondhand smoke just entering, while Kelly Clarkson recounted a similar experience. Even Snoop Dogg, the hip-hop icon, synonymous with cannabis culture, admitted he could not keep up with Willie. These tales were both amusing and defining for the outlaw country persona. Aside from music and marijuana, Willie Nelson also devoted attention to martial arts. Few know he trained for years in Gongkwan Yusul, a Korean discipline. In 2014, at the age of 81, he earned a 5th-degree black belt. In an interview, Willie shared, "I think if I didn't practice martial arts, I probably wouldn't be alive today." For him, training became a way to stay fit, maintain the stamina needed for long tours, and instill discipline in a life marked by instability. Looking back on this journey, Willie Nelson emerges not only as a musician with famous songs, but as a figure with a complex private life and countless unexpected stories. Financial collapse, turbulent marriages, the White House rooftop tale, or martial arts in old age. All weave together to portray a man both fragile and resilient. From financial turmoil and complicated love affairs to eccentric anecdotes, Willie kept moving forward. And at 91, that flame has never gone out. The journey continues at 90. In 2024, he released the album The Border, a collection of songs infused with the spirit of the frontier, marked by his signature singing and guitar style. Although he had to cancel several shows early in the year due to respiratory issues on Independence Day, July 4th, he returned to the stage. That comeback was seen by the press as clear proof that declining health could not extinguish the passion that had carried him through 7 decades. In 2025, Willie continued to affirm his iconic status by co-hosting the 10th anniversary of the Outlaw Music Festival with Bob Dylan. The series of more than 20 shows stretched from the East Coast to the West Coast, bringing together multiple generations of Americana and country artists. Variety called it the Mount Rushmore of American music, an expression underscoring the stature of the two names at its center. Despite the heavy schedule, Willie appeared regularly, demonstrating rare perseverance at over 90 years old. Earlier in November 2023, he received one of the greatest honors of his career when he was officially inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Brooklyn. Introduced by Dave Matthews, Willie took the stage with Sheryl Crow and Chris Stapleton to perform a set of classics, including Whiskey River Crazy and On the Road Again. The ceremony was widely broadcast, presenting to millions the image of a silver-haired artist still holding his guitar beneath the stage lights. Beyond the stage, Willie also shared another part of his career through writing. In 2023, he published Energy Follows, a collection of stories behind about 160 songs. The book revealed his habit of writing lyrics first, before finding melodies, a process different from many of his peers. Short notes, along with rare photographs, offered a more direct glimpse into how he transformed life experiences into music. Even so, age and health are unavoidable challenges. Willie contracted COVID in 2022 and had to undergo strict treatment due to a history of lung problems. He was also hospitalized several times for pneumonia. In a recent interview, he admitted, "I can't smoke anymore, my lungs said, quit." Instead of smoking, Willie turned to edibles to ease pain and relax. This shift reflects his will to adapt and his way of maintaining physical balance so he can continue performing. Behind the stage, family remains his steady support. Willie has been with his wife Annie D'Angelo since 1991. Their two sons, Lucas and Micah, both follow in his footsteps, performing with him, and as part of the band, Promise of the Real. Lucas has backed Neil Young on stage, while Micah has built a solo career of his own. Their presence in Willie's shows turns his performances into multi-generational gatherings where music preserves tradition while carrying new vitality. Looking at the present, Willie Nelson may no longer be at his peak, but the fire within him has never gone out. New releases, ongoing shows, and the presence of family by his side make his life's portrait more complete. It is not only the image of an aging artist persevering, but a symbol of endurance, adaptability, and love for music that transcends age. That fire did not come by chance. It was nurtured from a childhood full of challenges in Abbott, Texas, where Willie Nelson first began his lifelong journey with music and forged the resilience that has carried him ever since. A stormy childhood on the Texas prairie. Willie Nelson was born in 1933 in the small town of Abbott, Texas. At only 6 months old, he was abandoned by his parents. His mother left to work as a waitress, while his father remarried and gradually disappeared from his life. Willie and his sister Bobby were taken in by their grandparents. It was these two elders who laid the foundation of music for him. His grandfather taught him his first guitar chords, but passed away in 1940 when Willie was just 7. His grandmother continued to guide him, teaching him piano and nurturing his love for music until her death in 1969. Losing both guardians left a deep void, but also forged early independence and unusual resilience. Willie's childhood was tied to hard labor. By the age of 6, he was already out in the fields picking cotton with adults to support the family. Small jobs such as selling newspapers and doing odd work around town became a source of survival. Abbott in the 1930s and 40s was a harsh setting. It was a tiny town with a sparse population heavily affected by the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl era. Most residents worked in farming with precarious incomes dependent on the crops. In that environment of poverty, gospel church music became a spiritual refuge for the community, and it was also the first musical influence Willie absorbed. As a child, Willie stood out for his mischievous and curious nature. He once tried smoking cedar bark, grapevine stems, and even raisins just to imitate the grown-ups' habit of smoking. These antics may sound strange, but they reflect a curious boy growing up too close to the adult world. They were also the beginning of the unorthodox lifestyle he later embraced, both on stage and in life. By his teenage years, Willie was stepping into the world of professional music. He worked as a radio DJ at local stations, gaining access to a wide repertoire of songs and training his voice and ability to inspire through the airwaves. It was during this time that he gradually formed his own songwriting style. Willie began writing his first songs, experimenting with crafting lyrics before melodies, a method he would maintain throughout his career. The standout song that carried his name beyond local circles was Crazy, written in 1961. When Patsy Cline recorded it, Crazy quickly became one of the most timeless country songs, opening the path for Willie as a songwriter. From a farm boy teaching himself guitar, he gradually stepped into the center of the music industry. His full name, Willie Hugh Nelson, also bore family significance. Willie was chosen by an aunt, while Hugh was to honor her younger brother, who had died young. From the very beginning, Willie's name was tied to memories of loss. These losses, together with a childhood of deprivation, helped shape a musical voice both sorrowful and authentic throughout his career. Abbott, Texas, in Willie's memory, was never a prosperous place. It was a small community where people sang hymns together to endure hardship. From the harsh environment of the Great Depression, Willie absorbed the spirit of perseverance. Music was both a comfort and a doorway out of the cycle of poverty. Looking back, his turbulent childhood laid the foundation for his entire career. Every wound and challenge became material for his songwriting, from heart-wrenching ballads to optimistic songs reflecting the spirit of freedom. This is why Willie Nelson has always been seen not only as a singer or songwriter, but also as a witness to a generation that endured crisis and rose through music. From the prairies of Abbott, through Gunsmoke, Cannabis Haze, and music, Willie Nelson built not only an immortal musical legacy, but also a home called Luck Ranch. At 91, he remains a free-spirited nomad, and Luck Ranch is the place where he has finally found peace. If you want to learn more about behind-the-scenes stories, the legendary Guitar Trigger, or the Luck Reunion Festival in Texas, leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the upcoming videos about music legends and the lives beyond the spotlight.